It took nearly 20 years, but the Detroit Pistons are finally back. When I first started watching the NBA in the mid-2000s, the Pistons were one of the most dominant teams, led by their suffocating defense, and after all this time, they're finally good again, once again, led by an elite defense.
Yeah, the NBA is just better when the Pistons are good. They've been one of, if not the worst team in the league for almost 2 decades, hit rock bottom 2 years ago when they lost 28 straight games, and they have bounced back big time.
Before we start talking about the Detroit Pistons, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So going into this season, neither of us expected a ton from the Pistons. I thought if they could just repeat what they did last year, kind of plateau, that would be a success in my mind, and you just wanted them to win a home playoff game.
They somehow didn't do it last year.
Yeah.
Gotta remind everyone, the last home playoff game this team won was Game 4 of the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals.
That's wild. Well, this season they're gonna do it, and plus over the offseason, they lost 2 key catch-and-shoot guys. Malik Beasley, who got caught up in that gambling scandal. He was coming off a season where he finished second 6th Man of the Year voting, shot 41% from 3, but obviously he still hasn't signed to a team. And Tim Hardaway Jr., they also lost. He started 77 games for them, and he shot nearly 37% from 3. So that's not 2 huge names you're losing, but both of them were huge for the Pistons offense because for once in Cade's career, he finally had space to operate, to make plays, and their offense improved a ton. And I've been a huge Cade guy over the years. It's been tough because, he looked like a losing player early on in his career. At least that was the perception because he was putting up decent numbers for them, but the teams were never winning any games.
Well, there was that shot of him during the 28-game losing streak where he's just sitting on the bench and has the 1,000-yard stare like he's a soldier in Vietnam.
Right.
I remember it was posted to the Pistons subreddit and the caption was, "Please get this man some help."
But credit to the Pistons front office. They did a good job of replacing those catch and shoot guys. They trade for Duncan Robinson. So far, he's shooting like 2020 bubble Duncan Robinson to start this season. And then they signed Karis LeVert as well to add some more scoring to the bench. The Pistons didn't really start off red hot to start the season. They lost their opener on the road in Chicago, 115-111. Of course, the Bulls had that incredible start to the season. And the Bulls were up 20 at one point in this game, but the Pistons clawed back, nearly tied the game at the end, but the Bulls held on to win the game. The Pistons started the season 0-1.
Yeah, followed that up with a big win on the road in Houston, though, and even though Jalen Duren got ejected in the second quarter, hung on to win by 4, then came back home, beat the Celtics by 6, but the following night got worked by the Cavs, losing 116-95 at home. And it was around this point that you were like, okay, yeah, this is the Pistons team we expected so far, Still young, still some things to learn, maybe a little inconsistent against the good teams, probably gonna be, a little bit above 500, maybe like in the 45 to 48 win range, something like that. They haven't lost a game since they got drubbed by the Cavs, though. Currently on a 12-game winning streak. Started that off by beating the Magic by 19. Cade had 30 points, 10 assists, 6 boards, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Then took on the Mavericks in Mexico City, won comfortably behind a 33-point, 10-board game by Jalen Duren. Cade also chipped in 21 and tied a career high with 18 assists. Followed that up by going to Memphis and winning by 8. Cade had 33, 8, and 5, while Isaiah Stewart added 26 and 14. Then beat the Jazz by 9. Another huge game from Cade, 31 points, 10 assists. Jalen Duren, 22 points and 22 boards. Doesn't happen very often where a big gets as many boards as he does points, right?
Yeah, Duren has been just an absolute beast to start this season.
Yeah, funny quick story. Before we were recording, we were kind of going over some notes, and I was reading one of the notes, and it was like, Jalen Duren has been one of the best role players in the league. And I was like, I think he's a little better than a role player at this point. Right? You're like, no, like a pick and roll player.
Exactly.
You spelled it R-O-L-E. I'm like, that's like a role player, so we had to correct that, right?
Right. I was typing fast. But yeah, clearly this dude is no longer a role player. He's going to be an all-star this season. Follow that up on the road in Brooklyn, their first NBA Cup game. Not surprisingly, they won this easily. Cade, again, a monster, 34-point, 10-assist game. His third 30-and-10 game of the season. And Duren, once again, was huge, dropping went 30-10 as well. To finish a quick road trip, they beat the 76ers in Philly. Cade had a huge turnaround mid-range shot to give the Pistons a 3-point lead. Then they played great defense on Philly in the last possession. Maxey missed a potential game-tying 3. And after that, we got a bizarre CJ McCollum versus Cade Cunningham duel. Cade had 46 points. He did do it on 45 shots. I think he missed 31 shots, which is an NBA record, but he also had 12 rebounds and 11 assists. So,
that's a Russ stat line if I've ever seen it. 46 points, 12 boards, 11 assists, triple-double on 45 shots.
CJ almost matched him with 42 points, but the Pistons somehow won this game after Dennis Jenkins hits a 3 at the end of regulation to force overtime, and CJ missed a potential game-tying floater in overtime. Cade would then miss the following 3 games with a hip contusion. Jalen Duren also missed 2 games with an ankle injury. Tobias Harris was out. So, Pistons team, you're down 3 starters. You're not too far away from that season where you were the worst team in the league. You think like this team is cooked without Cade, Duren, Tobias Harris. No, they somehow still keep winning because Paul Reed steps up into the starting lineup. He gives you 28 points, 13 boards, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a win versus the Bulls.
Just casually comes in and drops like a Shaq stat line.
Hey, like what?
2 nights later in their second NBA Cup game, still without Duren or Cade, they beat the 76ers by 9. They then get Jalen Duren back, beat the Pacers by 15. Duren picks up right where he left off, 31 points, 15 boards. Finally got Cade back against the Hawks, won in Atlanta, 120-112. And then they just played the Bucks, winning tonight, 129-116. So before we get into like the rest of the season for Detroit, we just gotta acknowledge this is the best story in the NBA right now, and it really isn't close. Like, we're working on a longer video talking about like, the complete timeline of this rebuild, because really, it lasted 15 years.
Yeah.
It really started, after the 2009 playoffs, right? But again, the fact that this team was in the middle of a 28-game losing streak 2 years ago, and now they're on a 12-game winning streak with the best record in the Eastern Conference is remarkable. It's one of the best turnarounds in recent NBA history.
I mean, in my mind, it's the best turnaround I've personally seen.
Ooh.
I know like the Celtics 07 to 08, it's technically a better turnaround.
That's what I was going to come back with.
Like, yeah, you go from 24 wins in 07 and then you proceed to win 66 games in 08 and win the title. Like, that is better on paper. But to me, like, that's kind of a different story because you added Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. You added like a top 5 player and then a top 15 player, 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, it'd be like saying like the 2015 Cavs are an all-time
Yeah,
turnaround,
exactly.
Right? Well, they added LeBron James.
Right. I don't really count that in the same vein. Like, there's other kind of similar stories to that, like the Spurs in 1998. I mean, they only had an insane turnaround because they drafted Tim Duncan, and David Robinson the previous year basically missed the entire season. Like, this is the first time I've really seen a turnaround like this where it's basically the same core group of players. They just got older, more experienced, and really got better. I mean, sure, they added guys like Malik Beasley, and now it's like Duncan Robinson, and drafting guys like Ron Holland. Like, that happened, but really, this is the same core that 2 years ago lost 28 games in a row, and now they're out here winning 12 games in a row and at the top of their conference. This is unprecedented, unheard of. It's something I've never seen.
But are the Pistons legit, like, as contenders? I mean, we're getting to the point where we can't keep saying this. Like, we've said it so many times in so many recent videos, but it is still early in the season. Like,
it is.
Yeah, every team's still got at least 60 games to go. And, looking at the Pistons schedule, again, you don't want to take anything away from them because they've been fantastic and you can only beat who you play. But, I mean, they've had the 10th easiest schedule so far this season. And just looking at the win streak, like, a lot of mid to bad Eastern Conference teams, the Wizards, the Nets, the Pacers, the 76ers, the Bulls, like, so yeah, I mean, the East is not as tough as the West, and going forward, they only have the 6th easiest schedule remaining, so it's not like it's gonna get much tougher, but, we do want to see them play, specifically some of the elite teams in, like, the Western Conference. So far, I would say they've only played 2, like, top 10 teams in the NBA, the Cavs and the Rockets, and they split those 2 games, so I'd love to see a matchup against OKC, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Blazers, because we're definitely an elite team out there.
Exactly.
Gotta, talk it into existence.
But yeah, so far you can only play who's on your schedule, and they've dominated the teams on their schedule. And I think a big reason to be optimistic as a Pistons fan that this team can be a contender this season, that can win the East, is they just have an elite defense. And like the Pistons teams that were great in the past, it was always the elite defense. Like in the 90s, it was Dennis Rodman and Joe Dumars as their elite defensive players. In the 2000s, Tayshaun Prince and Ben Wallace. And now it's Asar Thompson and Isaiah Stewart. Basically, the same breath as those guys,
yeah,
of course.
Exactly right. Maybe eventually,
yeah,
though.
maybe one day.
Honestly, Detroit just feels like one of those like teams in sports that always has to play a certain way.
Exactly.
Like, they have to have a good defense. It's like Stanford football. They have to have a good defense and like good offensive linemen and a good running game.
Right.
If they try to play any other way, it's just like, what the hell am I looking at? Like, this is not what this team is supposed to be, right? And yeah, their defense has been great this year. Second best defensive rating in the league, only behind Oklahoma City. Not maybe a coincidence that those two teams have the best records in the NBA. Like you mentioned, Isaiah Stewart, best defensive player that nobody talks about. I mean, he has been an amazing rim protector so far this year. Jalen Duren's made some big leaps on the defensive end. Asar Thompson is an elite perimeter defender. Even Cade, who's been criticized for lacking on the defensive end, he's been playing much better this season. And as Nico Harrison has taught all of us, defense wins championships.
It does.
All right. That phrase has its own Wikipedia page, by the way,
Yeah.
where it lists Nico as like a proponent of it and why he traded Luka away.
Well, funnily enough, the third best defensive team behind those two, Dallas Mavericks,
Oh,
baby.
Well, the Dallas Mavericks don't have an offensive engine like Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, now on to the Pistons offense. Like, it's good. It's not elite. At the time of this recording, they're 12th in offensive rating. A lot of that production is behind Cade, one of the best offensive engines in basketball right now. He's averaging 27.4 points tonight, 9.9 assists. We're going to round up here and give Cade the 10 assists per game.
You got to give him the double-double.
Yeah, exactly. The only players averaging 27 and 10 right now or above that is him and Jokic.
Yeah.
Like, again, it just shows the offensive engine he is. And Jalen Duren, dude has improved big time on the offensive end. He's one of the best pick and roll bigs.
There you go.
Rolling to the hoop. In particular, he is an insane lob threat, and Cade is so good at throwing those lobs. But also, you got to give him credit. Like, he's created more for himself. He's got good footwork. He's improved his mid-range game. And surprisingly enough, like, the dude can handle the ball a little bit and create for himself. So huge credit to him. He's improved so much this season, and he's a name you got to keep in mind for most improved.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson also has filled Malik Beasley's place as the knockdown shooter. And also, huge shout out to Dennis Jenkins. I mean, we didn't have a clue who this guy was like 2 weeks ago, but he's been huge for them off the bench. Went undrafted in the 2024 draft, but signed a two-way contract with the Pistons. Only played in 7 games for them last year and was only averaging 1 point a night. And here he comes averaging like 11.4 points off the bench per game this season. Like, even started a few games for Detroit while Cade was out. So, big shout out to him. Hopefully this is the start of, a long NBA career for him. On top of that, Jaden Ivey's finally back. He played his first game in nearly a year on Saturday. Scored 10 points, so, it's probably going to take some time for him to, ramp up after being off for so long. But if he can get back to like 60% of the production he was last year, that'd be a huge weapon for them off the bench. Also, JB Bickerstaff. I mean, what a job he's done. He doesn't, I think, get enough credit for helping build up the Cavs into what they've become nowadays because, Kenny Atkinson took them to the next level. And, maybe Bickerstaff had worn out his welcome in Cleveland. That happens sometimes. Both sides needed a change and it worked out better for both of them. But I think there was a bit of a stigma on JB Bickerstaff after it ended in Cleveland. Like, oh, is he really, especially when Atkinson took him to the next level. It was like, oh, is he really like, all that? He's proven he is a damn good coach.
Yeah, absolutely incredible turnaround he has done there. So overall, to wrap this up, like, what do you expect for the Pistons the rest of the season?
I mean, I expect a home playoff win at some point, just minimum. I expect that at some point. Look, holding on to the 1 seed might be a big ask. The problem with the Eastern Conference is there's not another like dominant team who you could see like taking it from them. Like,
right.
I could see like, Cleveland or New York or hell, Toronto's on fire right now. Maybe they could do it. I could see another team like, nipping at their heels and like, maybe closing the gap on them a bit, but there's no like uber dominant team that I think is going to chase them down if they keep playing like this. I think, with how wide open the East is, they can very easily get to the second round, probably can get to the conference finals. And man, if we got Eastern Conference Finals basketball in Detroit against like maybe the New York Knicks or the Cleveland Cavaliers, that sounds fun to me. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. Like if they were in the West, I would probably be downplaying them because there's so many like elite contenders in the West, experienced contenders as well, that you could say like, oh, well, if they ran into a Lakers in the playoffs or the Nuggets or of course OKC, the experience of those teams would probably get the better of Detroit. But like you said, the East really isn't that good. And so far, like the teams we expected to dominate the East, Cleveland and New York, like they've been fine. More so like Cleveland, I think has been fine. New York's been a disappointment to me, but they haven't really been that great.
Well,
so
we were talking about this before the recording. It's like, look at the Eastern Conference standings as of today, which is Saturday the 22nd. It's Detroit, Toronto, Cleveland, Miami, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, Boston. Just like we all drew it up,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Just like we all expected.
So, I mean, honestly, with the defense they have, with the player Cade has become, with Jalen Duren, you know, making his improvements and like even dealing with injuries, playing this well, bringing in Jaden Ivey now, I think this team can make the conference finals. At the very least, I'm expecting the second round at this point. I think they should make the second round, especially they're gonna have home court. If you make the conference finals, that much better. And you never know, this team could even win the East. I think winning the title, I'm gonna hold back on that. They're not beating OKC or Denver in a 7-game series. I'm sorry, Detroit fans, but this team can win the East. They can make the conference finals. And like we've said multiple times, this is by far the best story in the NBA so far this season. So what do you guys think? Are the Detroit Pistons cursed now that we talked about them? Are they losing tonight? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And here we're here. Check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.